Imagine this. You're trapped on a spring break trip with strangers, and one of them steals every last dollar you have. You feel powerless, humiliated. But what if karma didn't just come for him? What if it came driving straight into his gas tank? If you've ever wished you could see instant justice served to someone who wronged you, hit that like button, subscribe, and buckle up. Because this is the story of how one arrogant frat boy thought he got away with theft until karma hit back harder than he ever expected. Alright, let's rewind to the late 80s. I was a sophomore in college, head over heels for my boyfriend. He wasn't just charming, he was wealthy, confident, and came from South America. He and his brother, along with a bunch of friends, were headed to South Padre Island for one of those legendary spring break trips. Now, I was supposed to join them, but there was a problem. The bus they had chartered was completely booked. No seats left. I was crushed. I didn't want to miss the trip, but it felt like my shot at joining them had vanished. That's when my roommate came to the rescue. She told me her boyfriend, along with a couple of his fraternity brothers, were driving down in a truck. She asked if they could take me along. At first, I hesitated. I barely knew them, but she swore it was fine and they agreed. So picture this. Me, stuck in a truck for hours with four guys I barely knew. I slid into the passenger seat up front, determined to make the best of it. Honestly, 3 of them weren't bad at all. Chill, easygoing, polite. But then there was him, the truck's owner, the guy everyone called Drugs, and not affectionately. He refused to drive a single mile. Instead, he sprawled out in the back, stoned out of his mind, smirking at everyone else carrying his weight. His whole attitude screamed entitlement, like the world owed him for simply existing. And the way he looked at me, that lazy grin, that dismissive laugh when I offered to help drive, it made my skin crawl. Still, I shrugged it off. It was just a ride. I even chipped in $100 for gas when we arrived. I thought, okay, that's that. Time for fun. The relief when I saw my boyfriend waiting for me was unreal. I hopped out, thanked the guys, and didn't give Drugs another thought. At least, not until later that night. That's when the nightmare started. We were getting ready to go out, and I unzipped my suitcase to grab some cash. My stomach dropped. My entire stash, $300, was gone. Every bill. I tore through my bag, desperate, praying I'd missed it. But deep down, I already knew. It was him. That smug, lazy jerk in the back of the truck. He was the only one who had both motive and opportunity. I broke down crying. $300 might not sound like much now, but back then, as a broke college kid, that was everything. My boyfriend tried to calm me, promising he'd cover my share, but I couldn't shake the humiliation, the helplessness. Someone had violated me, taken advantage of me when I was vulnerable, and I couldn't do a damn thing about it. But my boyfriend? He wasn't just sympathetic, he was furious. Him and his brother both. Fast forward almost a week later. We're at a bar, finally laughing again, when headlights cut across the parking lot. My heart nearly stopped. It was them. The truck. His truck. I froze. I was terrified of confrontation, but my boyfriend wasn't. He leaned close and asked, "Which one's theirs?" My voice was barely above a whisper as I pointed it out. He just nodded, cool and calm, and said, "We'll be right back." Those minutes felt like hours. My chest was tight, my hands trembling as I stared at the door, praying no one came storming in after us. Then, just as casually as they'd left, my boyfriend and his brother returned. He took my hand, smiled, and said, "Let's go." We walked out like nothing had happened, and the rest of the trip? It was magic. Laughter, dancing, sunshine. For a little while, I almost forgot about the money. But karma wasn't finished. When it was time to head home, my boyfriend surprised me again. He booked us plane tickets out of Brownsville instead of making me take the crowded bus back. At the airport, as we waited for boarding, he leaned back in his chair, that same mischievous smile on his face, and said, "By the way, drugs is screwed." I blinked. "What do you mean?" He chuckled, almost too casually. "We poured sand in his gas tank. That truck won't make it an hour out of the island." I didn't know whether to gasp or laugh. Part of me was nervous, worried it had gone too far. But another part of me? Oh, that part was practically singing with joy. It was justice. Pure, poetic justice. And sure enough, 2 days later, my roommate came home with wide eyes. "You'll never believe what happened," she said. "Turns out, the truck broke down barely an hour after leaving. The entire engine seized up. They were stranded for 2 days, forced to clear out fuel lines, replace pumps, and eventually replace the whole engine. Thousands of dollars in repairs. And the best part? Drugs." Dad was livid. Furious enough to revoke his truck privileges altogether. The same cocky guy who thought he could steal from me without consequences lost everything that gave him status. I didn't have to lift a finger. Karma handled it for me. Courtesy of a little sand, a lot of anger, and a boyfriend who didn't let injustice slide. That feeling, knowing he was stranded on the side of the road, helpless, watching his precious truck die, was beyond satisfying. He thought he could take from me, humiliate me, and walk away smirking. Instead, karma rolled right over him with the weight of an engine bill his daddy wouldn't forget. Sometimes, revenge doesn't look like screaming matches or fists flying. Sometimes, it's quieter, more poetic. And honestly, that's the best kind. Because when karma steps in, it hits exactly where it hurts the most. If this story gave you chills, smash that like button and tell us in the comments, what's the most satisfying revenge you've ever witnessed? And of course, don't forget to subscribe for more real-life karma stories that prove one thing: justice always finds a way. Backhand index pointing right, subscribe now so you never miss stories like this.